coming through the bloodline of Abraham. And they had seen what Michael proclaimed about the ruler to be born in Bethlehem, and Daniel's prophecy about the restoration of Jerusalem, Isaiah's cry about the Son of God coming to them. So for them, it was anticipation. This groaning was growing generation after generation, knowing he was holy no matter what the situation, but they longed for him. They yearned for him. They waited for him at the edge of their seats, at the edge of where excitement and containment meet. They waited. As a child watches out the window for their father to return home from work, they waited. And as a groom stares at those double doors in the back of the church, they waited. And in their waiting, they had hope. Hope that was fully pledged in a God they had not seen. A God who had promised a king who would reign over their enemy, over Satan's tyranny. They waited. And so for centuries of expectation, there were various combinations of differing schools of thought. Some people were expecting a political king who would rise to the throne through the wars that he fought. Others expecting a priest who would restore peace through the penetration of the Pharisees' facade. And yet, a baby, 100% human, 100% God. And so the Word became flesh and was here to dwell among us in His fullness, grace upon grace. Jesus. You see, for Him and through Him all things were created, and in Him all things are sustained. God had made Himself known to the glory of His name, and this child will one day rise as king, but not with a sword or with an insurgent regime, but with His life. A life that would revolutionize everything that this world knew, enduring persecution and temptation, all the while staying true, humbly healing the broken, the sick, and the hurting too, ministering reconciliation, turning the old to new. This life will be the very definition of what life really costs, saying if you desire life, then your calling must be lost. And He will portray that with His own life as His Father would pour out and exhaust, and He will be obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. You see, just 30-something years after the day He laid swaddled in the hay, He hung on a tree, suffocating, dying in our place. Bearing wrath that was rightfully ours, but we could never bear the weight. So He took that punishment and He put it in the grave, and He died. And when I say that He died, what I mean is that He died. No breath, no heartbeat, no sign of life. You see, God is a God of justice, and the penalty for our sin equals death. And that's what Jesus did on the cross. But then just 3 days later, in accordance with the scriptures, He was raised from the grave. And when I say that He was raised, what I mean is that He was raised. Lungs breathing, heart beating, blood pulsing through His veins. The things that He had promised were true. He is the risen Son of God, offering life to me and you, turning our mourning into dancing, our weeping into laughing, our sadness into joy. And by His mercy we are called His own. By His grace we will never be left alone, and by His love He is preparing our home. By His blood we sing before the throne that Jesus paid it all. And all to Him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, but He washed it white as snow. So now as His bride, we are the ones waiting. And just like those that came before us, we are anticipating. He has shown us that this world is fading, and He has caused our desire to be for Him. So church, stay ready. Keep your hearts focused and your eyes steady. Worship Him freely, never forgetting